Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve. We're back in Dark Souls 1, which for those uninitiated, I have a mod called Dark Souls Re-Remastered that updates textures, adds parallax occlusion mapping through height maps, alters meshes, adds dynamic lighting for the whole world, gets rid of baked lighting, which in this case was just for high resolution shadows, and a lot of stuff. Armor upscales, all the good stuff. But anyway, Duke's Archives had been pretty busted in this mod for a little bit. Last night I kind of went in there. I was like, okay, let me try to remember how to mod DS1. It's not like it'd been that long, but it felt like a long time. I got really into Dark Souls 2 modding again for my Second Sin mod. But what we're seeing here is, of course, Duke's Archives, and it looks more normal. I'm not totally happy with it yet, but before it was neon and very bright because I was doing material changes. Also, hello. Love seeing a little phantom go around whenever I'm playing. And then out here, this is the coolest part that I've kept from way earlier in my mod, where the big goal was to get dynamic shadows outside here. Because initially, this area just didn't have any shadowing at all. It was just, the whole thing was dark. And I was like, well, okay, that's not, so you remove the baked lighting, but then that doesn't make the shadows appear. So you have to do a bunch of param changes. And then the grass is from a cut test map, but I've already talked about that. And then we have our little crystal boy here. And he had I made a spec map for him like 2 months ago, but I didn't talk to anybody about it. So, also this mesh here, the ground mesh, is actually edited in Blender, and so it's much smoother than it used to be. And then this floor has a normal map, or ground surface, I should say. It has a, new normal map, specular map. Ooh, look at this. Look at this frond here, just floating. That's definitely something I gotta fix. I wish I could place grass like I do in Dark Souls 2, using Dark Souls 2 lighting engine. This is much less fun. Ooh, look at this texture warping. Oof. UV map issue. That's rough. I gotta fix that in Blender. That is a side effect of messing with the mesh. I goofed. I missed some UV mapping. But yeah, this has been posted to Nexus Mods. So you can actually have a workable Duke's Archives now. Another ghost. Nice. Let's go up here. And yeah, I was doing a lot of material work, which is why Duke's Archives was broken. This is part of a longer going through my mod again and redoing the areas. So in this current form of it, I've done Firelink, Sen's Fortress, Anor Londo, the Depths, the Catacombs, stuff like that. One thing I started working on last night also was fixing New Londo ruins, which was not nearly as bad. That it just had some red textures because they were set to the wrong material MTD ID or whatever. So let's go to New Londo Ruins entrance. Let's get that. Yeah, I had to remember how to mod Dark Souls 1 because it's obviously very different from my workflow with DS2 lighting engine. And then in the future DS3 lighting engine, it's just completely different. There's just almost no crossover between it. Okay, so we got that. The top area always looked pretty okay, but I had to fix the pots. Let's head this way. It's tough because you can't, in Dark Souls 1, you're not as much doing the, like, what you see is what you get type of modding that you can do with Dark Souls 2 lighting engine. Here, I just got to use Smithbox and then look at the map pieces and be like, okay, all right, let me open them up in Fiverr Editor. I still want to fix this fog because they're just using like those like alpha cards, and it's like a scrolling texture, but the edge here sticks out. I don't know. I've tried messing with the fog things, and I just don't. I don't ever. I'm never happy with the end result. Let's go here. Because New Londo has two separate sets of textures. They have the standard versions of most things, and then they have an underscore W version, which I'm sure you might be able to guess what that stands for, which is wet. Because whenever you open the seal or whatever to New Londo, you know, the water comes rushing in, right? Or rushing out. And so then the water level goes down and it reveals all of this wet surfaces. Yeah, I love that I have the AI turned off, but it doesn't actually turn off the ghost ladies. So I think I have no death turned on. Ooh, I do. And I think I have the abyss ring. So now my new Londo, this very recent work to fix, like down here, it was a lot of it was red because it was set to the wrong material setting, which was my bad. And yeah, so new Londo is not updated to Nexus mods yet, but that'll be very soon. Let's go see if I can find. I miss having a torch also, by the way. I terribly miss having a torch. Going back to DS1, it's like, oh yeah, so here you go. Here's a good example. This is the illusory wall, but they treat the illusory walls as objects. So if we actually open up, oh look at that, I still have it open. So here's the new Londo map in its entirety, which actually has this weird outer like box. I don't really know what the box does because I've deleted the exterior box here and it doesn't really seem to change anything. So I don't really know what that was all about. But let's find that illusory wall. New Londo I find really difficult to remember. Oh, actually I found it in like 2 seconds. Look at that. Never mind. I'm cracked out of my mind. Yeah, so you'll see this is the illusory wall, and they treat it as an object because it actually disappears when you hit it. So let's go to 6700, which is the name of the object, because we have to do a little material fix, which is my fault. Once again, converting the game over to different material systems and then flipping back. I know that might sound like, well, that sounds insane. Why would you do that? It's like, well, I learned a lot in the process, and now I'm making better specular maps at higher resolution. So I learned something, but the process wasted a lot of time. Well, I can't say it wasted time because I learned something very valuable, and that was really just messing around with the specular maps in Dark Souls 1 a lot because they function differently from Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. They all have different, except for DS3 and Bloodborne, those are very much the same underlying tech. So here we are in 6700.fliver or Fiverr. Let's hit the editor, and I just need to make a quick swapperino. Yeah, there you go. And so you'll see it's actually just this singular little no polygon ass looking, and it's set to a specific glass param. But I'm going to do it in a different way, where they would basically do the high specular using the special MTD for, you can see it's A16, which M16 is New Londo Ruins, so that's where the 16 comes from. Area 16, obviously. Underscore M, 9 glass, DSB, D for diffuse, S for specular, B for bump, and then underscore spec means it's in an alternate material workflow. So we're going to switch it over to the standard stuff. Now, luckily, I know how to make specular maps for both different types of specular maps. Because as we see here, this is the default specular map style of Dark Souls Remastered, which is you have your red channel, which handles roughness. So the darker something is here, the less rough that it is and more smooth, and therefore Specular is much easier to appear because it's not as rough, right? And then you have green, which the green channel is for metallic. And so the green and blue channels function in the opposite way as roughness, where the brighter something is, the more intense the effect is. Versus where roughness, it's the darker regions that are stronger. So that's sort of the different way you have to look at that. So green is for metallic, which I'm not using anything in this specific spec map for that because I don't have any metallic things. So this is really just stone and like dirt, and so I don't tend to really, I don't need metallic for that. But you'll see I do have the actual thing that I took here from the albedo. That's where you get the channel information. And I usually pick one of these that I think has the best contrast or not contrast, depending on the spec map I'm trying to make. And so I put it there. The alpha channel is empty. This style does not use that. And then we go to the other style of spec map, which I was trying to see if I still had one set up, but it seems like I don't. But basically, ooh, actually no, did I find one? Oh, I did. Okay, so this is the default one that is in Dark Souls Remastered. Oh, this is interesting. They did this spec map in a really weird way. So yeah, this one works differently, where it's almost like an older style of spec map. And I talked about this months ago when I was redoing all the spec maps for this other workflow, and that didn't end up working out. This one's weird. They're putting essentially just a singular color in the red, green, and blue. And in this different style of spec map, the roughness is actually handled in the alpha channel. So that's actually where they handle roughness here. And then the red, green, and blue, I haven't actually figured out. It's weird. They don't separate this into metallic or shininess. This type of spec map is just like you have your different information in the channels, but you actually end up using the same thing for red, green, and blue. You're not actually using like different channels for different things, which is why this is like the very not PBR or physically based anything, because it's a different style of spec map for an alternate workflow, and they used it on certain surfaces that I think benefit from that. But realistically, you can do any of these in the default spec map style. They look a lot different, but the ability to switch or separate them out to metallic and then actually shininess separately, that's kind of the big selling point, essentially. So let's fix this illusory wall, which we need to use this, which is this is a very standard MTD here, or material setting, which is just a standard MDB, which D for diffuse, B for bump map, and it also has specular. It just doesn't list it, but it does actually handle specular, which I think, yeah. So you can see it's using wall plaster, wall 01, which is interesting. So it's actually using a different spec map than the diffuse and bump map. Normally, what you'll see with most surfaces in DS1 is it would have wall plaster underscore N for normal map or bump map, and then it would have the same M16 wall plaster underscore S. But this time it's actually using a different texture for the spec map. That's far more common in DS2, where they will just use different things that it's not the same spec map specifically made for the surface. It'll just be a generalized spec map that they use on different surfaces. So bit of a different methodology there. But let's save 6700. And then we have to save there's another one in here, which you might be wondering, oop, didn't mean to hit that. You might be wondering, why are there two models or model files for a singular illusory wall? Well, it's interesting. In this case, for most objects, or almost all of them, you'll see they have 06700 and 06700 underscore 1. The underscore 1 is referencing when it breaks. And then there's like a physics interaction. And so the second form of it is when it is broken. So they basically are switching between the two of those. Here it's interesting because it's an illusory wall. So I don't really like, the wall just disappears. So I'm not sure why they actually have a secondary one, but regardless, we're just gonna swap that out. We hit save, we make sure both are saved, cool beans. And then let's witchy BD. Oh, I forgot to load out of the game. Oops. So anytime you're doing this, you can just load out, load back in. You can also use a dark sign, but that brings you back to a bonfire, and that's not cash money. We would much prefer to spawn right back where we were. And now you can see it is correctly wet, and it looks like it fits in the environment. So, hey, look, I got a big dog. Oh, he's gone. Well, whoever that was, you are now in a FromSoft serve video, which means absolutely nothing. But there you go. I wanted to try to drop down into the abyss, because I'm kind of afraid of what that looks like. Oh my god. Oh, there's so many ghosts or phantoms. That's awesome. No, I wanted to drop down into the abyss. Oh yeah, actually, here's something else we can fix real quick. So you can see these statues. Abnormal. Oh yeah, we also have in here is a broken part. Oops. And so you can see these statues look weird. So once again, let's pop into our smith box and see if we can find it. This one I can usually find from the top, I think. Aha, yes. So I believe it is connected to this. This flat green thing here is actually the water surface that gets lowered. But we can't see that currently because it has to be there. Okay, so here we have the actual thing, and then it is, oh really, they have it set as 1200. Oh, I know what happened. Okay, so let's go back to map M16, which is for New Londo, and let's go to 1200, which is the model we're looking at. Let's crack open 1200, and we should be able to see the model. It's actually a fairly large map piece. As the games went on, specifically DS3 and Bloodborne, that was when they made a huge technological upgrade to their rendering system. But basically, you didn't need to have map pieces that were this big. Ooh, you can see I actually do not have the backface culling turned off on this model. Let's fix that while we're here. And how you can tell that is by looking on the back side of this model, or this specific part. You can see that you can see right through it. Well, for shadow casting, we don't like that, because the shadow will be coming, if it is coming from this direction, it will go through the back of the mesh. I don't think we're having that issue, but it's a good thing to show how to fix the backface culling. In Dark Souls 2, using the DS2 lighting engine, it automatically turns off backface culling at a shader level, which makes it so much more convenient. So here, you have to very specifically go in. No, not that. Aha, there you go. So then we'll hit toggle backface culling. And now you can see, aha, the back faces have turned on. Which you might be wondering, why would they do that? Well, when you're trying to design something for the PS3 and 360, you will take any performance optimization that you can get. And so for them, they, for not rendering these back faces, it saved them a little bit of performance. And the player never noticed because they didn't have shadow casting turned on for, like dynamic shadow casting. It was all baked lighting, so, which is fine. But that's the benefit, is that you're not going to run into those like light leak issues because, well, it's all baked. So here we have our statues, which looks like a little kid and a mom, which reminds me of like an Elden Ring statue. Yeah, so we fixed the backface culling. Now we need to find what these statues are. So we hit, oh, look at that. We got a hit. Let's see what texture it uses. So it says M16 Object Stone. I believe it is the M16 Object Stone. So here I have a M16 folder. So if we go from the Dark Souls Remastered folder, and you want to view this exact texture that it's on this statue, we know that it's telling us here it is M16 Object Stone _W. And it's a blend texture, so it actually blends with a M10 base foreground O2, but we don't need to, I don't think we need to worry about that one, but let's see. So let's go to map, M16, because that's for this map, and I think that's going to be in M16 002 because it's alphabetical. So we have M16 Object Stone. Okay, so I'll open up the albedo texture. And then we have the specular map that's sitting here. Ah, yes. So I had not made a new spec map. I'm using the existing. And you can see that the specular map is half the resolution of the albedo. And in this case, that's because I've already upscaled the albedo, but I didn't do anything to the specular map. So what we're going to do is scale it up to 1024 by 1024. So it actually matches the resolution. We are then going to grab one of these channels. I'll grab the blue. I've been doing the blue channel for this area. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Okay, so there you go. And first we're going to start off with our roughness. So we basically paste in the channel, invert it, because your spec maps are going to look reddish, because the red channel is handling roughness, and so that's obviously where the red color comes from. We do not need the green channel, so we're just gonna blank that out. Oh, excuse the yawn there. I'm still waking up. So let's clear out the alpha channel. Boom. So you can see we basically take the husk of the original specular map and we just overwrite everything with whatever the fuck we want. So I kind of just pasted the channel and I didn't do any levels edits yet, but for the roughness, we do need to lower the roughness on it because right now it's in its default state, which is too rough because we want the surface to be wet, right? It is specifically the _W variant, so it's meant to be wet. So if you ever want to do that, you have two options. You can either use the input levels, which will darken the information that's already in the image. And if you do the output levels, that is the sort of like top line reduction or increase in brightness. And so that's how you can get the roughness down in the most effective manner. But you play with both of those usually. But just for this, I found a pretty good work. Well, really the most important thing is the workflow for the specular maps of the same area the same between all the surfaces? And currently for me, they're not right now. I need to I need to go back through them and make them to the same spec as all the other ones. No pun intended, I guess, in that one. But let's lower this down. Because no, you should be like usually picking values. I admit some of my visual modding, actually a lot of my visual modding is like gut based, where I'm like, oh, that looks good. Okay, so with the default, with the default spec map setup of Dark Souls Remastered, we save it as BC1 linear. And the other spec map style that we are not using is BC7, which technically is a bit of a benefit there, but the way the shader eats up the BC1, because BC1 is like a really old texture compression, but it looks great in this case, even with higher resolution, so I don't think I'm losing much versus the BC7 of the other style, because the benefits outweigh any sort of loss there as far as upscaling. And spec map generation here and getting twice the resolution, and the way that the shader handles it I found to be way better because this was the material setup that they ended up going to versus what was in like Prepare to Die edition. So it is definitely different. You do have to go into your witchy file here and tell it what kind of file is it. By default, it was set to 38, which is BC7 linear. We have to tell it 0 or 1. Both work for BC1 linear. And so then we hit save. Otherwise, it'll look weird in game. So let's hit save on that. Boom, that sends it back there. And now we're going to unpack the overall file. Yes, good. Let's load back in. And presumably, we will have fixed the statues. Maybe. I did fix the statues. Boom. You'll love to see it. They blend in now. It's fantastic. Yeah, the wall texture here looks a little weird. What's up with that? What's going on there? Oh, that's 2800. Got it. Okay, so 2800 I have not edited yet in this current run through. So 2800, let's open that. So you can see how it's pretty granular and meticulous and annoying. So that's why working on Dark Souls 1 is much tougher. You also have more freedom, so it's a double-edged sword. It's tough. So really quickly there, I'm just fixing whichever material identifiers. We're switching all over to that. And part of it is that I've just gotten really used to all the names. Like here you have A10 wet underscore alp. So alp for alpha. So it's used for like things that they have transparency essentially. And so this one we just need to switch over to the standard MDB underscore alp. And so that's just how you can easily switch any of that. Which in this case, it's for a light shaft. Yeah, they just use like an alpha card light shaft style thing. So let's see if that fixes that. We hit save, we load back in. I realize I've drank none of my coffee. Also, we have to talk. We have to talk after I fix this. Or maybe after I drop into the abyss. I don't know, I feel like this texture still looks... Oh. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Clearly there's a texture here that we have not made a new spec map for. Hey, there it is. Okay, let's see if we have a backface culling issue here. Once again, not that that's an issue in this very specific case, because there's plenty of other things that are already correctly shadow casting and have their backface culling turned off. So like this is not the impediment to that. But it's a good rule of form. You can see, yeah, the back faces are still, it's still backface culling. So quickly, we will try to find the mesh identifier. Well, that's for the stairs. You know what? I'll take that too. I'll take that too. Let's fix those back faces. Okay, well that's more stairs. Oops. Let's do there's the one. There's usually one big one that handles most of the exterior faces. Okay, so we did that, but now there's a texture on the side of this model. You might be able to hear my really loud mouse. I don't know. My wireless one, I got annoyed with it not connecting. And I was like, nope, you're done. Okay, so let's hit this. Nope, that's that one. Okay, so we want this one, which uses, M16 wall base W. Yes, I do believe that's one I have not edited. So let's go into, you can see I got pretty quick with knowing based on the fact that it was M16 underscore wall. I knew that would be in the third texture file, or technically fourth, because it starts at 0000 and then 01, 02, 03. And so alphabetically, you can go, oh, okay, that's going to be in the third one. But sometimes you'll be on the bubble between 02 and 03, and you won't forget. But so we have wall base WS. Yeah, okay. So here we go. Here's our standard wall. Let's pull up our spec map here. And yes, once again, it is, scratch this or full? Oh my God. We're so back. I cleared out like 10 gigabytes of storage. Photoshop gets a little bitchy when you run out of storage space, which is totally, you know, understandable. Let's hit the blue one. So let's do, once again, let's resize our image first. Up to the resolution we're going to, which is 2048 by 2048. Let's do roughness first. Boom. Let's clear out our alpha channel. There's probably a quicker way to do that, but I don't know. I think it's pretty quick to go into levels and just do that. Once again, we do not need the metallic channel. Not really. And then we'll post that, which is a pretty good starting point. But it is the wet variant, so once again, I usually like to ballpark it, but we hovered around 75, 80 on the last one as far as roughness, but we will see. So let's hit BC1. Let's swap over our little texture thing. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know what it was doing there. Let's hit that. Okay, so let's pack in our texture, our new one. And am I still running the game? Yes, but I have logged out. Hope you don't hear any like construction, because I swear to God, they're just absolutely going ham outside my apartment right now. I don't know why. That's crazy. Okay, so I did save it. Nice. Let's go back in game, and then we need to talk. Maybe. This is how it always goes, where I go, oh, I'll fix one thing. Oh, I'll fix one thing. Oh, I'll fix one thing. Okay, well, I did fix that. Okay, I think I have the Covenant of Artorias. Got it. Okay. So I fixed the material stuff on this. I always end up, like, hitting one of the stairs on the way down, and then I die. That's what I'm used to. Let's see what happens. Ooh. Oh my God, I got so lucky. Oh my God, the abyss actually looks correct. I'm actually really surprised. I thought it was going to look like busted AF. Oh, also, don't worry about the bonfire looking like the Prepare to Die edition ones. That's not part of my mod. Although I probably should DM drop off and be like, can I include that? Can I include the port of that? Hey, enemy ahead. Ah, okay. I love how it's just total blackness down here. That's awesome. Ooh, good luck to whoever's fighting the Four Kings. Let's go say, oh, they're gone. Okay, I was gonna say hi to them, and then it was like, no. No, you may not. Let's warp to Firelink Shrine, because, well, I actually just knocked out some good new Londo stuff. On video. But we have to talk. We must talk. Ooh. I don't really know why I'm getting frame drops here. That's interesting. Oh, okay. I guess I had some reshade effect on. Interesting. Oh, that's right. I was goofing with something last night. Yeah, we gotta talk. So I have decided that I need to stream. I need to stream working on my mods. Something I've never really fully done before, because I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to be able to focus much, and I'll be talking to chat too much, and I won't get anything done, and that hurts my mod progress, and I don't love that, you know? But no, I think monetarily, I need to stream. Stream on YouTube, because I like how it keeps your VODs. So that's a core part of it. Well, hey, what's up, big dog? Let's hang out with him. Let's talk. So I need to stream. And presumably I would stream from like noon until, give or take, maybe 2-3 hours, maybe 5 hours, you know? But I think between like 12 and 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is my time, so I can't really make it work for everybody, but the VODs would be posted, you know, in YouTube, like in an unlisted playlist, so it doesn't get posted like a video for everyone else, because I still make videos, right? But the streaming, I think, is just like if I want enough Mountain Dew that I want in my life, and Oreos, and well, and just getting by financially well enough. Streaming has just got to be part of that. And I've put it off for a long time, but I need to do it. So keep an eye on the community tab because I will announce like when the first stream is. It'll be pretty. Oh my god, really? That's been that busted? Jesus Christ. Okay, well I gotta fix that after this video. So yeah, I plan on streaming again, but this time mod work, not just game playing. Not that game playing won't be part of it. Maybe I just want to play a game sometime, but it's got to be my mod work because that's why people follow my channel. That's why people tune in. Like, it is for the mod work. So that's what everyone has wanted to see, and therefore that is what people will get. So, and I did post in the community tab, and I got some good feedback of like, yeah, but I've tuned into your other streams, and it seems like a lot of the time you just start arguing with someone, like some shithead in chat or something, which is rare, but like does happen. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. So I will be better about that. I will just not engage on certain things, like like I'll just ban people. Like I think if they're just being shitheads, I don't have to go 10 rounds with them, right? And I also don't need to read every chat. I'm learning that as like I've watched a lot of streamers for years. And I'm just realizing that you can't respond to everything. You just can't. Because otherwise you'll get nothing done. So it's not as if I want or like feel super comfortable monetizing my responses, but just realistically, that's the only way I think that it's going to work is that, if you really want my attention and like want to pull me away from the mod work I'm doing, well, then you can send in like a super chat or whatever. Like that, I think is the only realistic way. Because otherwise I'll just be reading too many comments and I'll never ever get any work done. And that's not interesting to anybody. So that's the goal is I'll just be better about not reading chat, which feels weird because, it's such a privilege that people would come to your chat and want to talk to you, but I just can't respond to everybody. And it's not even that there's always like so many messages, but like if I'm just constantly tuned into that, I'm just not focused on the work and I'm not being productive and that's not interesting. And I'm not delving into like mod shit, which is what people are tuning into, right? So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. Stay tuned. Also, go to the Nexus Mods page for this. You can download and fix his Duke's Archives. I will be posting an update to the patch soon that will, do the updates to New Londo that you saw there and other ones from last night. And then Illusory, I gotta hit Illusory. I've been kind of putting that one off. That one's tough to work on. But Duke's Archives was that was kind of like a roadblock because I hate that. I hate working on that area. It doesn't work in the way it should. Nothing works the way it should. It's the only zone in the game where it just, I don't know, for whatever reason it doesn't work that well. The params, everything, it's wonky and strange. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this little nerdy look at Dark Souls Remastered modding and specular map generation and material shit. Basically behind the scenes stuff. Which is what people are coming here for. So, and the dulcet tones of a massive nerd, just living his best life. And so thank you for tuning in. I'll see you on the next video. I haven't made a DS3 one. I keep saying that I'm going to make a DS3 one, but I have one that like I recorded, but then I didn't care about it. I didn't really think it was that good, and I can't really do my full DS3 mod yet, so that's part of it. I just can't make that mod yet. That'll be later this year. That's the current ETA. Kind of waiting on the tool to be updated, which is no big deal. But there is a in-between thing that I'm kind of doing with Dark Souls 3, but I don't know. It's not. I haven't found a good way to like put it on video, if that makes sense. But Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and hit a like on the video. It helps a lot. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.